Oh, I'm just so glad you guys are so open to taking the suggestion and going to see welcome to the movie theater to see it. Oh, good.
To me, that's the beauty of meeting new people is that you get to kind of get ideas from them, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Hi,
All right.
Anthony. Hi,
Hi.
Greg.
Is Greg here too?
Yep.
Oh,
I
there he
am
is.
Yeah.
kind of getting set up here.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in acting anyway because, as I said in that previous couple of videos a couple of weeks ago, the method, method acting, that's one method. But basically, acting means using your inner senses, right? It's about remembering very specific situations in the past when you felt a certain kind of emotion. So that when you need to feel that emotion, whether it's anger or frustration or being in love or whatever it might be, you just think about that and automatically the emotion comes out, right? That's what acting is. And, or at least it's a part of what acting is, right? It's a big part. And so, when you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, I thought, yeah, I'd like to go see that.
Hello,
It,
Naomi. Do you recognize this guy here on my background?
I don't, I do not.
That's okay. We are just talking about this play that I recommended that's played by this person in red. And
Mhm.
yeah, and both Anthony and Jessica were able to take a chance to actually go to see it in the cinema. And it was a very limited showing, so there was only I think a couple of showings over the course of 3 days, but they broke the box office of 1 million pounds, and that is very rare for cinema play to have such limited showings. And like Greg mentioned, you mentioned that the one in your city was sold out, right?
Oh yeah, and they extended another showing, another 2 episodes. I was trying to get tickets for that, and I couldn't. Everything's booked in LA here, so all the
Uh,
venues were totally sold out,
I
which
have
I'm
a
not
feeling.
surprised. But
I have a feeling the people in Los Angeles may be more culturally aware.
yeah, it's a pretty diverse culture here and a lot of different ideas. And it was in Pasadena, which is
I
kind
know
of
that
a
one.
historical
Yeah.
art community.
It's not the
These
Dolby
are
Theater where the Oscars are held, right? Pasadena is.
no, I think I don't recognize. I didn't recognize the venue offhand, but
I know a lot of Asian artists, like the big ones, they hold their concerts in that one stadium. So I know it's a big, like a big venue for arts stuff, arts things.
yeah, I think it was. Well, you had to go to reallive.com, I think it was, or something like that, to find the connection, and then put your zip code in and see what was around.
yeah, I really had no idea that they were doing that, filming those plays in the West End of London and showing them around the world, until you mentioned it. I think it's a great idea. I have, but like I say, I never heard of it. When I was in London, I went to a play in the West End because I'd heard about the West End for decades, right?
So
Actors,
which theater did you go to?
I'm not sure.
Was it Harold Pinter?
The play I went to?
Savoy Theater, Harold Pinter, Duke Theater?
No,
Which
no.
which one did you go?
Well, the one I went, the play I went to see was the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh,
But
okay.
the
Let me search.
actual
I
theater that
think
it
I
was
know which
in,
one.
I
Yeah.
forget. I could tell you because I have the receipt and everything. But
No, I'm
it's
trying to
it's a
search
big
it.
theater. It's a really large theater. The Prince of Wales Theater, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I can look it up and I can tell you.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. It's Majesty's Theater. His Majesty's Theater. I have never heard of this one, but it
yeah,
sounds very royal.
there's so many theaters. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been watching actors for years talking about, the West End, right? So when I went to London last year, I made a point to go there,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, it'd be great to go to a play. So I looked around, and there was only the one play that I think I could get tickets for that I recognized, the Phantom of the Opera. It was a great experience, and it was fun just to be there. So I was born in England, right? And one of the things that I did last year when I went there was I went to visit the house that I lived in when I was in England. We left there when I was 2, a little less than 2 actually, like a year and 18 months or like 20 months old, I think we left. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to do, was to go to visit that house, which I did, and it was great. So, a great past success, talking about the past successes list, it's a great past success. Means a lot to me. Doesn't mean anything to anybody else, really, but that's fine. That's what the past successes are about, And if you watch that video with Michael Caine, he talks about having, specific kinds of memories that trigger specific emotions in him. And he doesn't talk about them because he said if you talk about them, it kind of, deadens the effect, So he doesn't talk about it. He says I haven't even talked to my wife about it. By the way, I'm a big Michael Caine fan, and so I think I have 3 of his audiobooks, autobiographies, and so there's one called The Elephant to Hollywood, which I mentioned before, which is great. There's another one which might be even better. It's called Blowing the Bloody Doors Off, which is a line from a movie that he was in, which became one of these iconic lines, for whatever reason. I mean, who knows why one line in a movie suddenly catches on and people talk about it, But this movie, I think it's called The Italian Job, and it's one of his super popular movies, right? And anyway, this guy, he's supposed to blow the doors off this car, but he puts in too much dynamite and he blows the whole car just to pieces. Right? The car just disappears.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
So I would recommend that audiobook if you're into it.
What's it called again?
Blowing the Bloody Doors Off. It's just jam-packed, jam-packed with tips about how to, be successful in various ways, So I think it's really good. As a matter of fact, I was going to make I actually copied a couple of chapters of it, and I was going to send it to you guys as an audio file, just so you could listen to it. But I'm going to have to play around and edit that, But anyway,
Just added it to my wish list.
yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, I really like it, And the funny thing is, I'm not sure if Michael Caine would appreciate this. I guess he wouldn't mind, But what I do is I have it on my phone, and I have earbuds, And so what I do, if I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which I often do, I'll just put in my earbuds, turn on Audible, one of Michael Caine's books, and I'll listen to it, and I'll fall asleep, right? But which is great because it's a perfect way to fall asleep as far as I'm concerned. I'm being entertained, while I'm listening to it. So I've probably listened to that book and all of his books actually, 6 or 8 times. But lots of times when I listen to it, I hear something I never heard before because I guess I was asleep, during that part, right? But for me, there's nothing worse, well, I shouldn't say nothing worse. There's lots of things worse, but it's a bummer when you wake up and your head is spinning and you want to go back to sleep and your mind is just, spinning around because you got some issue that you can't get out of your head, whatever. So listening to an audiobook for me is a way to, get rid of that, because when you're focused on listening to an audiobook, then you're not thinking about your own thing. You're focused on that. So then you can drift off, to sleep. So I found it very effective to do that. So yeah. So I'd recommend that. And his voice is so pleasant, at least to me. He has such a pleasant voice. So I've been trying to watch a bunch of his movies. I've seen a few of his movies. He's been in over 100, I think. 130 altogether, I think, if you look. But he says most of them or at least a lot of them, he can't remember, right? Because it was a walk-on part. He didn't have any lines. So it's listed in IMDb. It's listed as one of the movies he was in. But he said, I can't remember it. But he's very funny. And when he tells stories about some of these flops and things that he's been in, it's really funny. And there's one movie. It's called The Swarm. I've never seen it. It starred a whole bunch of very famous actors. I think Henry Fonda was in it, maybe, and a whole bunch of other people. So on paper, probably it should have been a real success, but it wasn't. And he said that it was about the swarm of bees, right? So these bees were buzzing around and they were attacking people. That's the premise of the story. And so he said that all these bees, they had a whole gang of people there that would take these bees and take the stingers off them. But he said occasionally, somebody would get stung because somebody missed the stinger. But he said what he didn't know about bees was that when they're in their nest, they don't go to the bathroom. They wait until they go outside, right? So he said as soon as they released these bees, and they were buzzing all around, they had like 1 million bees. He said, they noticed that there was all these specks all over their clothes. And he finally realized, oh, it's bee poop all over their clothes, right? The bees were pooping on them, right? He said, which was a foreshadowing of what the critics did when the movie came out. Yeah, so the last couple of weeks we've been talking about using your inner senses. That's why we've been talking so much about acting, because that's the essence of acting, right? Using your inner senses to put yourself in a certain state, because you can't pretend to be angry. You have to be angry. Or you can't pretend to be in love. You have to feel that way in order to be convincing. So so that's why we got onto that tack in the last couple of weeks. So one of the things that I was thinking about, because the essence of this whole program here, a big part of it, maybe the most important part of it, is using your inner senses. But we don't do that much. As a matter of fact, I think only once or twice in the whole 26 months that we've been doing this have we ever done any sort of visualization or guided meditation exercise. So I thought maybe we could do a little bit of that today. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
So, so what I was going to do, I've been talking about the imagination as a pipeline, as a connection, right? And I've used the idea that, it's like a telephone call. You have one end might be your outer senses in the now. The other end is a different place in inner space-time. Could be the past, could be the future, could be a parallel reality that you've never experienced, or it could be a memory, or it could be a goal in the future, right? But there's other ways that you can use that model, that idea, right? Because there's not only, like if I call Greg, for example, he's in San Diego, right? Is it San Diego?
Orange County, a little bit north of there.
Yeah. So if I call him, well, I'm here at one end, he's there at the other end. But there's all those spaces in the middle. So with your inner senses, you can explore all of those. So that's what I thought we might try a little bit today. So let's just close our eyes for a second, or a minute, or a few minutes, and think about one of your past successes, something that you've done, some experience that you've had. And so remember that time and that place. And when you think about that past situation, imagine that you can see yourself as though you're watching another person. So you can see what you're doing, who you're with, what the situation is, what unfolded. And you can ask yourself, perhaps, what did I learn from this? What did it mean to me? So that's seeing yourself in the past as an observer. Now, jump into your body in the past. So go right inside your body and imagine that you're reliving this experience. You're right there. You can feel it. You can look around. You can remember what you could see. You might be able to remember what you could hear. Sounds, noise, other people's voices, perhaps. And so just go right inside that body that you were in at that point and take a deep breath. And as you're sitting there, you can feel the chair you're sitting in. Feel what it feels like in your body at that time. So that past experience. Try and remember how you felt. What feelings, what emotions did you have? They can be very faint. They usually are very faint, but sometimes they can be very strong. What could you see? What can you hear? If you're looking out through your own eyes back then, and listening with your ears back then, and feeling with your body back then, what can you remember? Now, come on back out of your body, back into the observer position. And let's say you're observing this situation, this memory, if it was a memory. You're observing it, let's say, from 1 year later. And now maybe you can observe it from 5 years later, if it was more than 5 years ago. And notice if the meanings or the feelings change. The meaning might change over time. And you can increase those feelings. You can just say, okay, 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x the feelings. and the memory and try and bring it back, a bright picture, widescreen, colorful picture. Now imagine that it's 1 year from now. It's in the future now. You're in the future, so jump to the future, and you're still remembering that past event. But you're remembering it, and you can also remember today, this year, things you've done in the last year. So you can see that past situation, you can experience or you can imagine that past situation in the context of your life in 2023, 2024, looking back on it from the future. Okay, good. Now, take the observer position again. So you can see that past event, you can see today, and you can see your future position that you were just in the future. You can see them all sort of lined up. You can see how they all fit, perhaps. Were there any meanings, any energy from that past event that affects your present? And what about the future you in some future time? Is it going to affect the future you as well? So you can see the past you, the present you, the future you, all at the same time. And see if there's any connections, maybe different connections between those three parts of you. If you get any insights, you can write them down when we finish this little visualization. And when you're ready, at your own pace, come on back to today. Take another breath, open your eyes when you're ready, and if you have any ideas or insights, you can write them down. How was it? That little exercise.
It was good. This particular experience for me was not that long ago. So trying to like move it through time was a little bit more difficult for me, but I tried to just imagine if it had happened a while ago and I was still looking at it a year from it, sort of thing. So.
Right. Yeah, I could have said in the beginning, think of something maybe that happened maybe 10 years ago, something from your past successes list.
Mm-hmm.
But if you thought of something from last month, then it would be a little different. But I mean, you can still do it.
Yeah, it still worked. I still got insight. I still, wrote something down. I got some good feelings from it, and so.
Yeah. So, Greg, any thoughts on that? Any comments?
Yeah, I was thinking about a past success that I had, and I was successful at it, and then as time went on, it was less successful. It was kind of ongoing pursuit in the work world, and I kind of was able to contrast it to now, and I feel like now I have a better overview of things I didn't do as correctly, that I wasn't able to keep resilience or keep on track as much as I wanted to. So I kind of look back at that and say, well, I think I've grown in terms of my understanding of that. And if I were to do it again, I would have had a different outcome. And so I'm more optimistic as I approach things in the future, that I think that I have, a better opportunity to be successful. It's kind of getting away from the past predicting the future, but more the future is predicted by the changes that come from me and seeing that I have more control over those outcomes. And so instead of kind of a flat or downward trajectory or kind of up and down, I feel like it's more realistic to be able to have continued upward trajectory and get greater control of which options I choose because of that. I think instead of saying, well, I've only got a certain number of things I can look at doing, I can look at things that are bigger than I thought I could. Kind of a think and grow rich kind of thing. So I am excited about that control of my life more. Would that make sense? I think it more realistically can be dreaming and planning and saying, these things are a greater variety of options are in my real possibilities, if that makes sense. I think that you look at the future and say, well, this is what I could probably do. And these are big dreams that I could never achieve. Well, more of those, I think, are practical because I feel like I can stay the course a little better with some of the tools that we've been talking about here. Because of state management is a big part of that. I think to be able to state manage and be able to adapt to setbacks in particular by controlling state management, getting out of it more quickly. I'm optimistic about that again. I had some of those tools earlier, but anyways, I think I've said that kind of before. So, but the exercise helps realize that or remember that.
Good. Naomi?
Well, I just realized that the past success, I thought of one in college, and that's always stuck out in my mind is my past success. And it really set the stage for how and what I pursued as a career. And, fast forward 40 years, I maintained that same type of career. It was the same theme throughout every job I had. And that's where I got the most joy from my career, was directly related to that one past success. How it relates to the future, I'm not sure, since I'm now retired. But it'll be interesting, kind of a journey to discover. So
Yeah. So how did you feel, or what was your experience when I said, think of this past success as though you're an observer, you're looking at it from the outside, and then get into your body and experience it as you experienced it before, perhaps, right, from the inside.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I said,
Well,
think of it like
go
a
ahead.
year later, like looking back on it from a year later. Those different perspectives, how were they? Did they give you any new way of looking at it or thinking about it?
Yeah, yep. And I think putting all those pieces together kind of just made me realize that that one past success kind of set the stage, a huge stage for what I concentrated on for decades throughout my life. So, and I never really put the two together as much as I did just now.
Was it good? I mean,
So,
was it
oh yeah,
a good
it's
thing that you did there?
like a light bulb moment. Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So that's very, very powerful.
And easy to do, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
for
I
sure.
said, okay, go back to some past success. Imagine you're observing it from the outside, and then get inside your body, and then imagine it's a year or so later, and you're looking at it backwards, and then go into the future and imagine that it's, you're older and you're looking at today as a past, and then that's also the past. You see how they line up, kind of. All those things you could do, right?
Hmm.
Even though you've probably never ever done that in your life before.
Right.
So this idea of using your inner senses and this map of inner space-time that I shared with you guys, to me, those two ideas together, using your inner senses, hearing, seeing, feeling, extracting meanings and energy from the past, um, and then using it in the present or in the future, or maybe changing the past. You can shift the past around by reframing it, right? You might realize, hey, I thought that past event meant this. Now I realize, oh, it actually kind of means that, or maybe I can use it again in like a different context. So I think it's very powerful, because most people, I believe, up into the high 90s, 95% of people never ever use this part of their imagination. And yet it's the most powerful part. I.e., actors use it, architects use it, inventors use it. Elon Musk, I'm sure, uses it, I'm sure all these people that we admire and we wonder, how come they can do that and I can't do that? I'm pretty sure that in many cases, it comes down to the way they're using their imagination. For more information about this online community, to get your own copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, either the ebook, the paperback, or the audiobook, go to mindtimeandpower.com, where you can also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook.